Hi everyone. I hope y'all are having a, well, if not a good day, then a safe morning, noon, or night, whatever you are. I'm sure y'all have seen right now the results of something that I can't exactly talk about on here, considering the fact that Twitch updated their policies that I have to properly tag certain political situations as sensitive subjects. I am fucking tired. Um, I'm just gonna say this. When I woke up, I literally wanted, I was, to be honest, I was planning on just canceling the stream entirely and just going right back to bed. But I figured this is probably like a good, maybe this stream could be like a good distraction. That's why when I shared the stream on Twitter and Blue Sky, I just wrote down in case you guys want something to take your mind off of things. Because I feel like we as a collective are ultimately divisive. I think we could use a little bit of unity here and there, or maybe entirely. So, the way I say all you can do right now is keep going. I agree. That's at least one thing I can like see hope for. But you know what? I'm just not gonna let I'm not gonna let things like this affect me and honestly and obviously I'm going to wish for the safety of my peers and minorities and communities. So any like any person of color, trans people, non-binary people. Yeah, but you know what do you know what I'm gonna do today? I'm doing a stream. I'm doing a fucking stream. I'm going to buy myself a sweet treat from the store, and I'm just gonna finish SAO Alicization finally. I'm just going to like think. Not only just think of me, but like think of everyone else. Like, it's just a lot. It's just a lot. Or who knows? Maybe it might get worse over here and I'll actually move to a different country. So, who knows? Maybe this is the push that gives me the drive to get out of here. But anyway, I'm not gonna sit here and doom post for y'all. What did they back to arches? Now, obviously, like I was gonna be like, okay, I'm gonna need a stream, but I'm like, should I play this one? Should I play this one? We were all like, the collective whole as a country was having like the worst anxiety when we were fucking like watching the results, but like, this gives me anxiety. This game gives me anxiety for different reasons. If I mixed the two, would that just be like chasing an upper and a downer? Would it be like chasing like mixing? Maybe you should have changed it to an art stream. I could, but I'm gonna be honest. I don't have much motivation to draw right now. I literally don't know what to draw. I literally have no idea what to draw. I could have just continued more promises to keep. Yeah. I should have. Ain't too funny. I'm at least lucky enough. Well, like, not lucky, but like, it's cool that I have mutuals and friends in different countries and stuff that don't bash, that don't try to continuously bash my country as a whole, because yes, we do have fighting problems and it's really crazy. Listen, I don't get it either. I don't get it either. But You know what? Wow. Okay, well, I'm done Doom posting. Well, I wasn't even going to Doom post anyway. We're going to continue this. Let's take our attention and anxiety to something entirely different. Oh god. Last time we left, we're kidnapped by Brian, and he's gonna use Cameron to, like, solve his supernatural issues. And he's trapped Devin in his van, and he's force feeding him some weird shit. I don't know anymore. Uh, okay. By the way, I was actually so tired because my sister kept me up all night because of this shit. I was like, I just came back from doing clean play at work till 12:30. I am tired. You have work in the morning, and I have a stream in the morning. I don't get why you're up so. I don't know why you're so wide awake, but I need a fucking sleep. I don't think I got in bed until around 2. So yeah, I am that tired. Okay. Anyway, yeah. Let's read on. Cameron stays under the table. The Xanax having kicked in fully by this point, leaving the coyote in a bit of a quiet, stoic haze. His sobbing has trailed off. Not much emotion left in him, just feeling numb. His trip is getting more and more intense, and he knows that the peak is nearing, maybe in another half an hour? Still, he begins to notice things that he sure aren't part of his trip. A presence, not too far away, one that he knows very well. Dev. With no idea what he's doing, he instinctively reaches out towards that warm energy, but then he's interrupted by another presence he doesn't recognize, one that's much closer. Cameron gets on his paws and knees, looking up from under the table. Oh, another CG to add to the list of potentials for the VOD thumbnails. The vision is definitely different than anything he's experienced before. Unlike the dreamlike, reality-altering psilocybin, the vision he's entered has a clarity to it, like he's not even tripping at all. The figure of something, someone appears before him, and Cameron knows everything immediately. Benjamin Kowalski, a rabbit, born in 1977, ran away from his Pueblo home when he was 16. For several years, he moved from city to city, sometimes in neighboring states, before settling in Peyton. He stocked shelves at a grocery store, and the extra money he saved up would fund his weed supply. Brian was his dealer. In September 1998, he agreed to let Brian take him to his trailer home in Echo. Oh shit, he was barely 20. He was promised 2 ounces of weed in exchange for 1 night of love making, as the bear had put it. Benjamin wasn't gay, and even if he was pretty sure Brian wouldn't be his type. Oh, fuck. 2 ounces was a lot, though, and way too good to pass up. After four days of torture, Brian accidentally strangled him for too long, and Benjamin didn't regain consciousness. Of course, Brian planned on killing him anyway, so he did. The bear was only disappointed that he didn't get a few more days with him. Timothy Esposito was a skunk born in 1985 in the Midwest. His hometown was a large industrial city, one that had been in decay for his entire life. So he transplanted to Mesa, and in May 2005, that was where he attended a BDSM-themed event in an unused warehouse. He liked breath play, and so did Brian, so they fooled around a bit. He didn't much like Brian, but the bear liked him a lot. Brian liked him so much, in fact, that he followed the stunt as he walked home after the event and kidnapped him on an empty street. Timothy was strong and almost escaped multiple times, once managing to leave the trailer before being caught just a few dozen feet from the dirt road. Brian continued their breath play, except now it wasn't play at all, and after 2 weeks, Brian again suffocated his victim for too long. This time, Brian thought that he was fairly successful in keeping his victim alive that long. Daniel Gallegos was a ferret born in 1996. He was from the Sonoran capital, but was staying with family in Mill City to work a summer job. He was saving up money for his university tuition. In August 2014, days before he was meant to head back to Sonora, he met Brian outside a club before being kidnapped and driven to Echo. Brian was able to keep him for an entire month, and even though a few of Brian's customers had seemed tied to the torture rack, no one said a thing. Eventually, Brian seemed to decide he'd gotten all he could out of the ferret, and he bludgeoned Daniel to death with an old tire iron, just because he wanted to try something different. The bear couldn't believe how long it took, how hard he had to hit the kid before he finally stopped moving. 2014. That's a year before Echo takes place. Shit. I should have just done weed instead of do this. I'm getting some water. This bitch is parched right now. Okay. Time to activate my high-pitched southern voice that I do for Brian. Cameron! Cameron is jolted back to reality as he yanked up by his, as he... I think there should be like an apostrophe S at the end of he. Damn it. It's just little things that get past the developers for the final build. Cameron is jolted back to reality as he's yanked up by his shirt so he's not even touching the floor. Brian's paws hold the front of his shirt while shaking him violently. What? What is it? Cameron kicks around to try to get his feet on solid ground again. Despite being almost overwhelmed by a numbing calm of Xanax, it's not enough to stop the primal fear Cameron has of the bear. Oh shit, I forgot. Oh shit, I forgot Dev was resistant. Dev was talking too much and resistant, so... Oh no, Brian's gonna fucking beat up Cameron twice. Oh no, I forgot about that. Shit. Especially not after seeing the horrors he's committed on those men. What he'd just seen was condensed, distilled into an easy-to-follow series of events, but all the while he'd absorbed all the tiny details too. He knows Brian promised these men many things, that he'd only keep them for 1, 2, 3 more days before letting them go. That if they'd just be a little more quiet, he'd let them go. But Cameron knows none of those promises were kept. The visions had been so real that to Cameron, it felt like he'd been there for everything they went through. Luckily, he hadn't felt anything, but it was as if he was in the room with them. This room. Brian seems to gain some control over himself and lets go of the coyote. Cameron isn't able to stand with his weak, shaky legs and sits down heavily on the ground, looking up at the looming bear. Oh yeah, also I forgot, I was so tired to the point last night that I literally didn't moisturize. I moisturized my hands, but literally nothing else. I just crashed. I needed to sleep. I could sleep real right now. You know, I should just sleep right now and just stop the stream entirely. Maybe that'll save me on the fucking doom and gloom that I'm witnessing right now because of this goddamn game. The show must go on. Kept calling your name and you wouldn't answer. I told you to let me know if the visions were starting. I couldn't. Brian waits, looking more impatient the more Cameron stammers, which only makes him stammer more. I swear to fucking God, why do all of you become whimpering little dipshits the second I lose my cool for like a second? Oh my God, I don't know why. Okay, just that sentence and also his fucking face, that's actually kind of funny. Just so kind of funny, he's so unaware. Oh my. Okay. He reaches down and Cameron cringes as he's yanked up to his feet again. It's clear that Brian wants him to keep standing this time. He's so unbothered he literally is. So he does, steadying himself against the table behind him. Quit that crying! He does his best to stop, but the sobs keep coming. Brian, the visions, the people he just felt, it's not an easy thing to just shrug off. I said to quit, not be quieter! Cameron's mouth dries up even more, his tongue now sandpaper against the roof of his mouth as fear helps shock him into a statue-like state. Cameron knows he owes a lot to the sedative right now. Without it, he wouldn't be able to stop, and Brian might kill him. That's better, but faster next time, got it? Okay. Cameron opens his mouth to answer, but finds himself yanked towards suddenly, only to come to a horrible jarring stop as the bear slams his knee into the coyote's torso. Cameron watches the luminous arches writhe about, convulsing almost like they're mirroring the coyote's inner turmoil. It's also mirroring my inner turmoil as well. The knee is so big compared to himself that it seems to cover most of his stomach. That's even worse. You can thank your boyfriend for that one, and he still earned you one more. Brian finally pulls back and Cameron crumbles to the ground, unable to process what Brian is saying, not that he'd be able to understand it anyway. The coyote lets out guttural groans over and over again. What's that you're saying? Brian taunts him from above and Cameron responds with a whooping gasp, pressing his face into the floor in agony. I asked you a fucking question! Cameron is lifted into the air again, feeling his feet kick around for perches on the ground as he once again dangles from his shirt, the fabric stretching to the point that Cameron can hear the threads popping in his collar. Cameron cracks open an eye and sees Brian drawing back a huge paw, and Cameron manages to choke out a few words with the tiny amount of air he's gathered into his collapsed lungs. Nothing! Cameron wheezes loudly between the words, knowing that this is exactly what Brian likes, but how can he stop himself? He's not even sure if stopping himself will help. Maybe that will only trigger Brian into hurting him more. But to Cameron's relief, the bear pauses, then slowly drops his fist. Cameron sees the wild look in Brian's eyes gradually leave as he stares at the gasping coyote in his grasp. Good. Guess I'll save the other for later then. The bear lets go and Cameron slumps back to his knees, curling up again in the fetal position. Now, what was it you saw? I'm just gonna say this. I hope Cameron had his appendix removed beforehand. Or maybe his stomach is strong enough. But like, imagine if something went wrong. He did speed up one too many times. His appendix bursts, and now his body is burning with stomach acid on the inside. I really hope. Anyway, he didn't feel any pain, but now he does. Oh god, we're back to Arturo! Oh yeah, he's still alive. Speak up, Arturo. The whole class needs to hear you. He's in front of 20 curious, attentive eyes while his paws shake, almost making his papers rattle. He's had less than a year to learn a new language, and now they expect him to give an entire book report? He did anything to be in his room, gaming on his brand new PlayStation 2, but first, he has to figure out how to survive these next 5 minutes. This is you with Bosk. Or Bosket. I don't know. You show me that weird pronunciation. He's playing on his PlayStation in his dorm room when Maria walks in. Hey, beautiful. Would you able to get some sleep? He doesn't look up from his game. Weird it's not called something like Pause Station 2. True. That'd be so funny if it did. Which... Oh, you should know my overflow toe. That makes him look up. Huh? 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 She looks wait. She looks confused, frustrated. Born and sworn and to mourn and forlorn? He puts down the controller and stands up. Baby, what? Arturo installs a lock on the medicine cabinet. What? He helps her eat healthy. He helps make sure she goes to bed at the right time. Whenever she feels a mood swing approaching, high or low, they prepare together. Maria once cried and told him that she wasn't worth it, that he should find someone that isn't an unpredictable mess. He told her she was definitely worth it, and that they just need to be prepared. Arturo, I don't think you want to touch your head like that. Your brains are leaking out. Arturo opens his eyes and then cringes at the ache in his head. Not an ache, but an explosion ripping through his skull, his brains, and down his spine. It hurts so much that he lets out a sound that's a half moan, half strain. This time, it seems to take even longer for him to understand where and when he is. He had been moving as fast as he could without actually running or jogging, since he isn't even capable of doing that. He guessed he had probably made it 2 miles away from Echo, so 7 more to go. He had just been thinking about how he was walking almost exactly like his grandfather did after his stroke, and Arturo had thought, now we'll actually have something to bond over before it happens. A dizzy spiral unlike all the others made him stumble, like he was looking over the edge of a cliff. Then anxiety he had never known before overcame him, making his heart beat so fast Arturo was convinced it was going to explode. He got on his knees, started praying for help, and then... Now he's here, on the ground, his nose and forehead stinging from where it slammed into the asphalt, and the rest of his body just aches. He'd had a seizure, and even though he's never had one before, he knows that's what happened. At least he was on his knees so his face didn't have far to fall. Still, he's left feeling so exhausted, so defeated that he just wants to lay there. He'd been in a half-dream state, completely confused as he stared around him, memories flicking through his mind like a Viewmaster. An hour had passed, maybe 2, before he finally understood what his situation was again. He almost wants to go back to that confused state, pretend it's a dream. But now he's crying, because how is he going to take care of Maria if he can barely walk, barely talk? She's good at taking care of herself, but he needs to be there just in case. He needs to live, and he needs to get better. And while he's glad to be out of Echo, he knows Cameron is still there, and if Devin is gone too, he knows that the bear will only want him to save Cameron. Get up, Arturo, all your friends need you. Eventually, he slowly sits up, his paws shaking so badly he's worried he's having another seizure, but eventually he steadies himself. He needs to keep moving. So with a deep shuddering breath, Arturo starts to carefully get up, and that's when he sees it. Oh my god, it's Flynn! Shit, no, it's Socket Man. Oh no, Flynn? Flynn, buddy? I know you're mad because you wanted to see the truth of what happened to Sydney for so long, but the universe and Echo just refused to let you see anything to the point where your eyes bursted. But please, don't take your anger and frustration out on Arturo here. Please, he's going through so much right now. Oh my god, I've never been this more anxious in anything. This is actually terrifying. You know how you saved Jenna? You know how you saved Jenna Begay? Please extend that courtesy to Arturo here. Please! 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 Have mercy! It stares and Arturo just stares back silently. In that moment, he's sure that he actually did die. And what he assumed was a seizure was really just the end. Now Rachel Berry. Now Rachel Berry in the comments. And now this thing, this embodiment of death is here to take him. Well, technically he's not an embodiment of death, he's an embodiment of the truth. He's the embodiment of people seeking out the truth. It's just that death is just a consequence of that. Instead of moving towards him though, or really acknowledging him in any way, it doesn't move at all. Arturo notices something out of the corner of his eye, and though it's distant, he sees lights. Headlights. Multiple headlights moving in both directions on the landscape. The highway. Oh, really? Arturo looks back, but it's dawn. With nothing else to do, he starts to get up. Friendly reminder that Leah Michelle can't play this game. Facts. Facts. Don't tell me not to live, just sit and putter. Life's candy and a saw's a ball of butter. Bring on the round a cloud to rain on my parade. He's sure that he didn't see those lights before he collapsed, but a lot of memory is missing. Several patches between when he was shot and now are unaccounted for. And what he saw was probably just a product of his failing brain. Oh my god, I wish it was just a product of his failing brain. Sadly, I played Echo, and I know that's not the case. So wordlessly, he walks in his wide stance with his arms swinging awkwardly, knowing that nothing will be the same again. Seven more miles to go. After telling Brian everything he can remember, the bear seems satisfied. Did you try and talk to them? No, I didn't have time. Brian raised away the coyote's excuse. Which, just do it next time. I won't interrupt you. Cameron wants to tell the bear that he's not even sure he can talk to them. Because after all this time, he's starting to think that he shouldn't even be able to. He can see what's happened in the past. Maybe even see what might happen in the future, but that's it. He only sees a record, but if they acknowledge him, communicate with him, then that's something that he doesn't want anything to do with. Devin has said that he doesn't believe in demons, but that's what Cameron thinks they are. All of these unexplainable forces that haunt and torment the living, it's all demons. Brian disappears again, and because he doesn't grab the coyote, Cameron assumes he isn't meant to follow him. A minute or two later, Cameron hears a loud snorting sound and he flinches. Then it happens again, and Cameron looks over to see Brian lean over the counter, head low. Combined with the sound and posture, The coyote knows that the bear is definitely snorted something. He'd been in a similar position many times in his past. Either way, he's not about to ask the bear what he's snorting. He can only hope that it's something that knocks Brian out, or at least slows him down. After sniffing and stabbing at his nostrils, the bear returns to Cameron's side, and we hear the chill. Hey Ben, how you doing? I'm blocking out my anxiety I'm blocking out my anxiety from what my country's going through to a different form of anxiety in the form of arches. It's fun. It's fine. It's fine. Let's continue. It's okay, you guys are strong. Thank you. Thank you. Although I am in California, and we're still blue, but a lot of people voted, apparently we voted no on capping rental prices and abolishing slavery. I guess that was from like back then or something. To be fair, I just don't like California as a whole. Anyway. Well, let's go outside to a spot that I think you'll get better reception or whatever. Before Cameron can fully comprehend what Brian just said, he finds himself being forced over the huge bear's shoulder before being lifted in a fireman's carry. Cameron closes his eyes, clutching into the fur of Brian's back as the bear lumbers heavily around, listening to the sounds of a screen door swinging open, then shut. He can sense that they're outside, the air warm from the lingering heat of the day. Then he finds his feet coming into contact with the ground. Cameron looks at his surroundings while Brian ambles around 5 feet away, kicking at the dirt and foliage. It's twilight now, at least as far as Cameron can tell. The eerie, ominous red hasn't gone away, even though they're well past sunset. The first time he tried shrooms, colors did change, but in the sense that they became more vibrant and saturated. I had to do that joke. I had to do that little joke. The forest looks just like it did when he had the vision about the static entity. He was with death then. How is this even happening? Who's having these thoughts? Devin? What? Cameron jolts back to the present, even though it's not the present, because time has stopped existing, and this is just a moment in a never-ending series of moments. Is time always happening at once? Brian is still looking at him with a piercing gaze, and his fur is once again writhing about on his body, as if it's come back to life. Sorry, I'm having a hard time concentrating. He lost himself for a moment, and just blurred the first name that came to his mind to center himself, and confirm that he still exists. The trip is reaching the same levels he experienced in high school that has sent him running through an unfamiliar public park, his friends having to chase and pin him down. God. I'll fucking bet! I didn't even measure what I gave you because I thought you only take one swallow. It was a fuck ton, though. Oh. There's nothing he can add to that. It's scary, but it's the way Brian is acting that's really scaring him. Whatever he took is very obviously kicking in and is definitely not calming him down. Something wrong? Brian's tone is taunting and cruel, and to Cameron's horror, Brian comes closer, right next to the coyote. No, I'm just feeling off because of the shrooms. Which, shit! You're on like 3 milligrams of Xannies too! I totally forgot. God. Fuck, you better not fall asleep or go all delirious on me, understand? Because if you do, I'll probably just kill you. Cameron stays still. He's reached the stage where he feels solidly stuck in a deep dream, one that he'll be in for several more hours. Who's dreaming? Hey, what's the matter? Am I making you feel comfortable? Is there something wrong with me? I mean, there's a lot of things wrong with you, dude. Cameron shakes his head with tiny jerks, barely moving it. I asked a fucking question! I'm noticing you're on something, that's all. Well, no shit, kid. You think I was blowing my nose in there or something? Well, I was thinking maybe we were going to see things together. And you take a downer, but it looks like you're on an upper. Huh. Why would I want to see that shit when I got you? I don't like the ones out here, that's why I took it. Wanna guess what I'm on? Cameron doesn't, but now that he knows Karen isn't going to help him, he plays along. Maybe cocaine? Adderall? You fucking kidding me, kid? Adderall? Do I look like a college brat trying to pull an all-nighter? Shit's like a cup of coffee to me. Ooh, he did give Nicole Class of 09 a run for her money. Cameron doesn't say anything, but Brian keeps quiet. Like he's waiting for the next guess. Meth? Too expensive, but close enough. It's mephedrone. Oh, okay, sorry. I never really did stims. Not after what happened to his mother. Bath salts. Oh. No. Oh. So, bath salts are really fucking dangerous. I think you kind of become like an erect, like zombie-like person when you do those. Oh god, put that in with an already violent bear. This is gonna be fun. And it feels fucking amazing! What follows is the sight of a 500-pound bear awkwardly dancing and swinging his massive arms around violently, growling and laughing. It's terrifying. As the crazed bear is shadow boxing about 20 feet away, Cameron begins to realize he might be able to run. With his muscles weak from the sedative, and his mindset absolutely fucked from the hallucinogen, he might not be able to outrun Brian. He's starting to forget that he even exists. Still, he might be able to hide. The desert is full of cracks and crevices that he might be able to squeeze into to wade out. Brian is there, here for breath. Fuck! Gotta relax. It's been a while, so I'm getting a huge rush. Gotta remember, I ain't as in as I used to be. My heart's probably gonna give any day now. I really hope. Fingers crossed. Fingers crossed. Please, please let your heart give out. Please just die and let this nightmare, this decades-long nightmare you created, end. Way too much. Anyway, it's making me forget that what we're even doing. Remind me again, little buddy. Brian smiles at the young coyote, and Cameron takes that as his cue to smile back. If Cameron is remembering correctly, stimulants make people more empathetic, and he hopes he can tap into that. I'm going to help you calm down some spirits. Cameron wants to say, and then you'll let me know, but Brian doesn't keep promises, and breaking it up seems like a bad idea. And now that they're outside, Cameron is sure he can feel Devon's presence. Alive, but hurt, and the coyote is desperately trying to figure out what to do next. But Brian seems to know exactly what's on Cameron's mind. What about your bear? Maybe I was just getting the wrong impression, but I thought he was your boyfriend. Of course, that's why I'm doing this. Oh, fuck, I forgot to tell you, he overheated in the van. Got distracted with you and left him in there too long. A few seconds passed, during which Cameron's mind is telling him 10 different ways to react. Cameron knows for a fact that Devon's alive. But should he act terrified to satisfy the bear? Brian interrupts with a diddle. Nah, he's fine. Just wanted to make sure the feelings between the two of you are mutual. Your face says it all. Brian laughs again and even lets out a high-pitched whoop that echoes around the quiet forest. Brian is kind of iconic, to be honest. I just love your last comments and your recent one. Brian needs to be stopped. LOL. Brian is kind of iconic, to be honest. The duality of man. Not knowing what else to do, Cameron does his best to go along with Brian's game and forces a laugh. Holy shit, you really got me there. I thought my heart was about to give out. Damn, you're cute. Cutest little Yodi I've ever seen. Oh, thanks, but you know drugs. They make everything seem better. I think I'm more on the ugly side of things, if I'm being honest. I mean, I haven't showered in a while either. Cameron pretends to self-consciously smooth over his head fur. Nah, you were cute before I amped up. Also, I had guys shit themselves before I had my fun, either because they were scared or they thought it would stop me from doing what I did. It didn't, because this shit I'm on makes me horny as fuck. So not only do you look cute, you are cute. Thinking something like that might help you. Of course. Cameron saw the torture Brian inflicted, and the bear had to be drugged up whenever he was doing it. Cameron can especially remember Daniel's experience and his thoughts. 10, 20, sometimes even 30 hours of nonstop physical and mental torture, and it would go on and on and on and wouldn't stop until the bear's exhausted body would pass out. Then he would sleep for an entire day, sometimes longer before the process would begin again. But luckily for you, we got more important things to do. Come stand here next to me. Okay, I'm gonna help you. Cameron tries to make it sound like he's on the bear's side. Who's thinking these thoughts? But as Cameron moves to stand beside Brian, it finally seems to sink in that Brian is going to kill them. Not because it's obvious, but because he's starting to pick up on the bear's thoughts. He's reading his mind. He thinks he murdered Artie, but he didn't. For whatever reason, either because he's outside or because he's tripping out even more, he's certain of that. He'd never been the closest of friends with the cat, the two of them a bit too different to really hang out or talk without Devin being involved somehow. But Artie was a constant presence in his life for more than 2 years, and he knows that feeling. That amalgamation of a person that is Artie is still out there. Cameron mentally reaches out to the cat, but he's so far, so distant, and something is wrong with Artie. His amalgamation is missing some parts, and several pieces seem a bit warped, even broken. That's his stall! Devin is still full and nearby, and it shines like a beacon in the darkness of the barren desert. Artie better survive this, or I'm gonna commit war crime. Same. I don't get why people hate him. He's actually, he cares for people. He even cares for Maria! Like, he's a good person. I don't know why people hate him. Maybe I'll understand later on down the line. I don't know. Apparently he's I can't speak. Apparently he's a divisive character for some people. Maybe people just don't like him because he's annoying? I don't know. So while Brian is telling him to contact people he murdered and buried under the ground, Cameron in a sense reaches out for Devin. A few minutes after Brian left, Devin became frantic. Even though he knows it won't help, it will only make things worse. The instinctual part of his brain overwhelms everything. With low, bearish grunts and growls, he yanks and pulls and lunges with all of his weight, just trying to get something other than his own wrist to break. He'd already contemplated dislocating or even breaking his thumbs to pull his paws out of the cuffs, like he's seen characters do in some movies. Thought that's gotta be painful. But just by looking at the metal, he can tell they're too well fitted for that to do any good. He could gnaw his thumbs off and he'd still be stuck. So he just yanks until blood is seeping into his paw fur. Even with that added lubrication, they don't budge. Oh my god, he's pulling Sabrina Carpenter! Please, please, please. Please, please, please. Is the only word he says with each grunt of exertion. Finally, as the drug water begins to take its effect, Dev slumps on his side, crying. He sobs harder than he ever has in his adult life. Cameron, I'm so sorry. Cameron, please. He'd kill them, all because he needed to find out. Well, technically, he didn't exactly. Well, technically, he didn't exactly kill them. Well, like you took them to Echo, but Cameron wanted to stay and figured this shit out, and that led you guys to leave Artie's car to watch him. If Cameron didn't stay, which if Cameron didn't want to stay, then y'all wouldn't have to watch him, which means y'all wouldn't have to watch Duke break Artie's car, which means that y'all would have just gone in the car as soon as Artie got there, after maybe a few minutes of rest, and then leave. Devin, you put in too much fault into yourself for this. You need to understand that also Cameron was complicit too. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Listen, I love Cameron. Much love to Cameron. I actually love Cameron, Dev, and Artie. But let's be honest, Cameron was a bit too full of himself. I'm just gonna say that. Listen, I mean it's because of my biases against Echo because I played Echo. But listen, all you got was bad vibes throughout this entire fucking trip, and you still chose to stay. Ugh. I hope I. Okay. Am I still alive? Let's see. Okay, yeah. Oh, because I need to find out. Turns out he will find out because they're going to die. How could he do this to Cameron? He did it to himself. How could he be so stupid, naive, inconsiderate, selfish? I mean, you were those things at the beginning. In a flash of rage and desperation, Devin viciously gnaws at his right forearm, snarling, "What the hell?" Again, he knows it's senseless, pointless, detrimental, but the self-loathing is all-consuming, and mostly he just wants to punish himself. After several seconds, he stops, and after blinking away the blur of tears, he sees that while Sunfur is missing, he barely broke the stand. He's so Homer-coded. Oh my fucking god. New art idea. Draw Devin in Homura's magical girl outfit. Devin lets out a hopeless despair and laugh, even while tears stream down his face. The metal enclosure makes the laugh sound loud and hollow. And that's when Devin stops as he realizes how unhinged he sounds. How he shouldn't be acting like this. He doesn't have a right to break down. His friend is dead, and his best friend. Devin knows he needs to do everything he can to get out. The next time Brian is within reach, he's going to do everything he can to make sure he dies. He'll rip his throat out. But while that fire is rekindled in his chest, he can't fight whatever dread the bear gave him. Listen, you can't. Don't do anything stupid. Don't do anything stupid. Listen, that bear took a fucking bullet to the head. That bear took a fucking bullet to the face, and he still lived. This bear is supernatural at this point. Devin suspects that it's making him a bit delirious too. Either way, it's powerful, and Devin knows he probably won't be able to do much for another hour or two, so he lays down, trying to keep his ears open so he can be ready for the old bear if he comes back. If Cameron dies, it doesn't matter if I escape. I will be able to live with that. Maddie! Maddie, Mateo. Huh? No one's used his second name since. Why couldn't you just watch her? Oh, this is gonna get sad, isn't it? Devin! Devin stays trolled up because he knows he imagined that, or his brain is playing tricks on him, or Devin, it's me, I'm here. Cam? Devin stares at the swirling patterns and lines. Are you okay? No, none of us are okay. You're not okay. I don't even know if you're alive. Devin tries to move toward Cameron, but he stays at a constant 10 feet away, no matter how hard the bear tries to get to him. Devin, I am real. Cameron carefully enunciates each of those words, as I have been lacking in every stream I've ever done. I'm doing this through, like, my mind, I think? A fucking psychic, remember? Well, now I know this is my bullshit. This is what got us into this nightmare in the first place. Devin? Yeah, you know what? Fuck you. You are exactly what I thought you were. You don't exist. My sick, fucked up mind is making up this version of you that I have no right to create. And... Devin's voice trembles with emotion. He's never had a dream where he's felt this real before. This alive, and of course it's happening when he's feeling at his absolute worst. I just wish you were real so I could actually tell you how sorry I am. But I can't take any of this back, even if you somehow make it out. And you look fine, and I know you're not fine because you're with that goddamn bear. It's quiet for a moment, the only sound being Devin sobbing. Devin, I know there isn't much I can do to convince you that I'm real, but I can say is that I am real, and that I love you dearly. I love you too. And yeah, Brian is hurting me, just like he's hurting all of us. What's he doing to you? What happened to me not being real? Well, just in case, are you okay? The look on Cameron's face makes Devin's stomach drop. Well, not really, no, but he's keeping me alive, so that's what's important. But you see those patterns? Yeah? Well, Brian drugged me with shrooms, and I'm tripping absolute balls right now. Hallucinogens enhance my abilities, and I think I kind of created this space. I really can't make this stuff up. Well... maybe you're right, but he drugged me too, you know? This could still all be me. You don't give psychedelics to someone you're trying to sedate. Anyway, it turns out I'm not that different from my mom. It's all arches. I can see them when I take certain drugs. Devin looks up at the patterns. And for the first time, he feels like this might actually be Cameron. Cameron? It's me, yes! Cameron, oh my god, please let this be real, baby. I am so sorry. No, we don't have time right now. Also, I kinda read your mind, so I already know. Sorry about that, by the way. It's just happening automatically. But I can sense Brian's thoughts too, and now I know where you are, where the van is, that you're in a set of handcuffs, and I know where the keys are. I'll get you out somehow. Cameron, honey, please don't do anything that might get you hurt, please. Devin sees Cameron's lips tremble. Devin, you know I can't promise that in this situation. Neither of us can, but we're doing this together. Cameron! Shit! Brian, is he there with you? I'm gonna be fine, but I gotta go. I love you. Cameron! No, damn it, please! He crumbles into the darkness, feeling helpless. He should be there with Cameron, not here sleeping and doing nothing. We're doing this together. With a great deal of effort, Devon smothers the frustration and terror, knowing that he should have some faith in his boyfriend. If Cameron thinks he can do this, then Devon realizes he has to believe him. But doubt that had been real at all starts to creep in again, even though Cameron had convinced him at the time. So he continues to rest, waiting to see if his coyote comes to free him, and hopefully then he can finally get his claws on Brian.
You've been standing there for a good 10 minutes. So, what did you see?
Well, I'm having trouble because they won't talk to me.
Oh, and why's that?
I think it's because you're here and they're scared of you. Maybe if you... Cameron screams, clawing and clutching at the huge fist on his ear. Brian twisting it viciously before lifting up so that Cameron's feet actually lift off the ground. Ow! He didn't know it was possible to feel that much pain from his ears, even though he knows they're sensitive.
Stop! You sneaky fucking faggot!
He violently shakes Cameron, and the coyote twists his body, grabbing the bear's forearm and trying to get his lids lifted up and wrapped around the bear's bicep to lessen the pressure, but Brian won't allow it.
You know you said everything out loud just now.
What?
You know exactly what.
I hate this. Cameron, why did you flop so hard? Flopville. Cameron is slammed up against the trunk of a tree, the impact resonating through his body. Yep. Instantly, Brian's huge rugged muzzle is right next to his own much smaller, narrow snout. The bear snorted heavily. Cameron fights the best he can, but his feet are off the ground again, and he twists and twists, but the grip is more powerful than anything he's felt before. He can actually feel his eyes bulge and his tongue sticks out involuntarily once again he finds himself drowning. Ah! The CGs are great. Yes, the CGs are great. Paintfots did not sleep for the duration of this entire development of this fucking visual novel, and I commend him for that. But god damn it, it hurts so much. It said so much. At that moment, it isn't the crescent pressure on his neck or the horrid rancid breath that's coming from the old bear that Cameron knows most. Is that Brian doesn't even seem angry. He doesn't seem enraged that the coyote had been contacted Devon. He doesn't seem upset that Cameron broke his word to help the old bear with his demons. Instead, Brian looks excited as that, all while staring right into Cameron's face, watching the coyote's mouth open and close noiselessly. Fatally, Cameron can sense a battle taking place inside Brian. He desperately wants to have his way with Cameron, but he also wants Cameron to exorcise the ghosts. But Cameron can also sense that Brian is realizing his plans were doomed from the start. How would he ever hide the fact that he killed a loving couple in this infamous abandoned town? He knows people will look for them, unlike his previous victims, except one. The police had already visited Echo looking for missing students, and they've already suspected Brian, and they didn't arrest him. The police are useless even in this universe. It's all over. The bears deciding that they are all going to die. This is the end, and you landed with one final victim.
It doesn't fucking matter.
Brian hisses in Cameron's face. Something moves out of the corner of Cameron's eye, and he looks to see a somewhat familiar face. It's black, void-like features with swirling red eyes stare at him. It's watching him too, and it's just as fascinating as Brian. Cameron senses very little intention or emotion from this creature, but he finally realizes that its purpose in this forest is simple. Record the terrible things that happened in it. Cameron is about to become one of his next recordings. The coyote's vision blurs and one paw drops to slip into Brian's pocket, disguising it as him trying to push the bear away. He feels and finds the single key that he knew would be there. That's smart, but also how? Which,
God damn it, you're a fucking cute one, you know?
Brian's voice trembles with cruel, passionate emotion and nuzzles the coyote. Not like that. Not like that. Not like that. He squeezes harder and Cameron's eyes roll up, all while putting the key in his own pocket. But he's not even sure it matters. Brian already heard his plan. More importantly, though, is that Brian isn't letting up. As he fades into darkness, Cameron feels a part of himself die. The trip peaks. And suddenly, Cameron is everything at once. He's a trailer home in the northwest. He's a desert lake. He's a broken road. He's a trailer home in the southwest. He's a train cutting through the wilderness. He's a train cutting through Chase Hunter. He's being shot ahead. He's being hung from the tree. He's being beaten to death. He's sweeping under an arch. He's stumbling into a pond. He's in a space shuttle smashing into the ocean. He's a dead town. Dead. But with working reflexes. Using the tools that still holds tightly in his grasp. Cameron disappears, and these thoughts and feelings are no longer his, because he isn't who he is. He is everything. And because of that, he can see everything. Why? Why? This is also well written, literally, but also, when are we gonna get like a Deus Ex Machina in the form of either the Raincoat Monster or the Socket Man? Like we got in the last Echo game. Pain pounds rhythmically in their head like a heavy drum beat, making their ears pin back tightly before they begin to whine. Then they croak as their sore throat protests against making the sound. They stare at the scene before them, then they blink. Also, it's called singularity. But it doesn't help them make sense of what's in front of them. In fact, it seems to make it worse. Who's making sense of what that's in front of who? These intrusive thoughts about not existing. Who's having these thoughts? Where's Leo gonna appear to save Cam? Literally Leo? Crazy. Oh yeah, I forgot. Leo still stays in Echo for some reason. Leo is still in Echo. What the fuck? Payphones, did you by any chance draw a Leo sprite for this game? And if so, can we see it? Also, if you have Kudzu lying around, can you bring him here too? God.
See? You're coming around.
Fear rises up into his throat, something deep in his brain telling him to flee that voice, to escape from it. But he's still too confused to figure out who or what he even is right now, because he still feels like nothing. But he's also still conscious enough to know that he is, in fact, something. He remembers that he's someone named Cameron. He remembers his situation, and he remembers that he's been drugged with shrooms and Xanax. His trip had reached his dizzying peak, his sense of self so utterly decimated that he isn't sure how he's ever going to feel the same again. The terror and torture of the past 2 days had culminated to this, the moment that his mind gives it and breaks, and Cameron can't tell what's real and what isn't anymore. But there's something else too. Despite the terrible loss of who he was, Cameron, this amalgamation he calls Cameron, is sensing things even more vividly than he had just a few minutes ago, when he contacted death. Cameron sees what's ahead of him, but he's seen so much worse. In his mind, he looks forward, and he sees a myriad of people in front of him, even though they're all the same people, Devon, Brian, and himself, locked in a vicious, spinning blur of claws and teeth, blood and horrific, unidentifiable viscera. It's confusing, seeing so many versions of himself and his boyfriend, and he turns his head to glance away, not wanting to see that violence. Then he notices something over his shoulder. He looks back, and this time he sees one version of himself, along with Brian. He sees his unconscious body being pinned against the tree for a while longer before he crumbles to the ground. Stop the violence! What the hell? His voice is low, husky, and barely audible. Brian laughs, startling the coyote out of his visions of violence.
I choked you the fuck out, that's what!
Cameron blinks at the bear, then back at the forest. I thought I died.
Hey, not yet, kid. We got a few things to do first, and you probably want to see your boyfriend too, eh? Not sure you'd get to talk to him since he's knocked out.
Knocked out?
Yep.
Wait, with what?
Relax, it's just for hypnol. Sure, I give him a good amount, but they're a few decades old because they made them illegal in the States back in the 90s. And, you know, when pills get old, they don't work so good anymore.
Hold up. Looking up this. What does it do? What the fuck does it do? What is this? Benzodiazepine. Used to treat severe insomnia and assist with anesthesia, as with other hypnotics, has been advised to be prescribed only for short-term or used by chronic insomnia or on an occasional basis. Is it? Okay, so it's illegal for, like... Shit. It's that's so weird to be it can be used as a short-term treatment of insomnia and premeditation for surgery, but it's also roofie. Oh my god, it's roofies. Oh, that's what it means. Damn. Brian goes on and on about Rufinol and how it used to be the premier date rape drug in the country. Cameron watches the bear's mouth move in waves and ripples, yellow teeth poking out from behind his lips as saliva collects and becomes frothy at the corners. Who's watching this? Cameron reassures himself automatically. I'm watching this and I need to save Devon. He's not so convinced about the first part, though. Me? Karen. Simple concepts that aren't so simple anymore. Just like in high school, he stopped existing. It's different this time, though. The Xenus is certainly quashing the panic he should be feeling right now, but this time, his perspective is from a completely different angle. Cameron's amalgamation still does still exist, but the borders have dissolved, and he seems to be seeping into everything. Despite already knowing he's insignificant, he's still awestruck by how small Cameron is compared to the world. Even the buds crawling beneath the leaves made Cameron feel small, an entire world he knows nothing about. But entangling his identity with the universe means he's also entangled with Brian. The bear is missing parts of himself, kind of like Artie, shattered pieces and jagged holes pockmarking the landscape of his life. Cameron almost feels sorry for him, that maybe if things had been just a little different, the odds just a little more in Brian's favor, he could have been a very different person. What's really disturbing, though, is the genuine affection he has for Cameron, his urge to caress and hold the coyote, but there's a hatred there too, a disgust for what Cameron is. Young, attractive, and a fag. Not just queer like Brian considers himself to be, but a faggot. The kind of queer that acts real cute before fucking over the real men who should be doing all the fucking. So it feels good to punish Cameron. But it's even better to watch him suffer. To watch the way his body writhes. His mouth open for air. His eyes wide and fearful. Cameron feels himself recoil from understanding Brian's thought process. A way of thinking he never would consider himself. But that thought process isn't what makes Brian the terrible person that he is. Cameron knows that most don't have a say in how their sexual interests and fetishes develop, so the thoughts themselves aren't exactly evil, at least not to Cameron. Cameron knew a few guys from college who has interests similar to Brian. During his first year of dating Devon, the bear had timidly asked him if he could gently close his teeth over the coyote's neck and growl. It was thrilling and intense, and Cameron loved the rush. But then Devon had a nightmare about tearing out Cameron's throat, and that was the end of that. So to Cameron, Brian isn't all that strange. What makes Brian different isn't that he has fetishes. He's not crazy. He's not a psychopath. No, the true roots of Brian's evil is clear. He's selfish, and he's never satisfied with what he gets. That's gonna be the title of the VOD. The true root of Brian's evil. That's the name of the VOD. He's selfish, and he's never satisfied with what he gets. Selfish enough to put dozens of young people through hellish torture until they finally died. All while having the capacity to fully control himself. All while having full access to alternatives like roleplay. But it's not enough for Brian. He always needs more. He's fucking insatiable. All for his own fleeting, drug-fueled sexual gratification, because at one point, Brian decides that what makes him feel good, so fuck this world that makes him feel bad. But he'd found some release in strangling Cameron, and now his focus is turned back to a vague idea on how to use Cameron's abilities. Something to stop him from spending the rest of eternity with his victims torturing him. Cameron could spoil the end for Brian, let him know that when everyone dies, they just cease to be what they were. That's it. Ghost, demon, poltergeist? Creations of the living, and wherever it is that's an echo. Cameron draws back at this point, getting overwhelmed by all the thoughts coming from the old bear, unable to understand them without more context. Looking forward, he glimpses the various scenarios again, and the one constant is death. Most involve him dying, and a good amount involve Devon dying as well. Cameron imagines that this is indicative of what's most likely to happen. But a few, just two in fact, showed Cameron and Devon surviving, with Brian either living or dying. Cameron doesn't care much about the latter, just as long as he can get Devon and himself out of Echo alive. Wait, what? Well, fingers crossed that Brian dies. They can deal with Brian afterwards. Cameron doesn't even care much if he doesn't make it, especially in this state of mind. But he won't accept not being able to save Devon, and that's vice versa, dude. You both have to get out of here. Suddenly remembering what he had done earlier, Cameron tries to subtly brush his pocket, and is amazed that the key is still there. Does Brian know? Well, he does know what Cameron had planned, but in his own excitement, and especially because he's tweaked out, he's never focusing on other things. He also missed the key being taken out of his pocket. Dr. Strange coded ass coyote. Literally! What the fuck? We got some Stephen Strange bullshit here. Dormammu, I've come to bargain. Or it's Brian Echo, I've come to bargain. I don't know. I just went through 14,500,000. It's possible timelines. What's the timeline where we win? 1. God, he also missed the key being taken out of his pocket. That and Brian's memory is terrible. Decades of drugs at neurotoxic doses had dismantled who he used to be. He doesn't even seem to remember why he chose Cameron in the first place.
anime conventions down in Sonora, stuff was over the fucking counter there, so it was easy to get, but getting it over the fucking border is a whole different issue.
Brian suddenly stops talking, eyes narrowing. Cameron's pulse quickens as he wonders if Brian had just remembered his plan. What's wrong? His voice is still rough from the strangling. A deep soreness starting to emanate from the core of his neck.
I don't know, I just like you better when you're smiling, but if I'm fucking boring you, just say so.
It takes Cameron a few seconds to understand what Brian is even talking about, then a few more to stand the bear's thoughts. In Brian's mind, his smiling has a lot to do with how interesting the bear's over explanation of Rufinol is. So, oh, maybe it's Rohypnol. So Cameron quickly puts one on his face. Oh, sorry, it is really interesting. I'm just so overwhelmed with the drugs and...
Shut up!
Cameron shuts up. Brian starts to work his jaw like he's chewing something before clenching his fists. Cameron tenses up, preparing himself to be hit again.
You're cute, but not that cute. And I'm not that stupid. I hate fags like you, sucking up and sucking dick so you can get what you really want.
Brian's mind flits through through a few faces, but the only one to find enough for Cameron to comprehend is a fox in a red hat.
Keith?
Then Brian seems to relax, but the anger is still there, the bear having honed it to become more cool and collected, which only makes it all the more terrifying. Sure, stimulants increase empathy in a normal brain, but if Brian abused them to the point that amphetamines feel like caffeine, then it probably only increases his irritability and rage. That's what his mother was like at the end, and it always confused Cameron as to why someone would want to do a drug that makes them feel worse.
I've got a better idea.
Cameron gasps as Brian grabs him by the ear. No, no, stop! I can walk with you! I won't try to run. Ow! Cameron senses the bear's amusement as his fear of being pulled up by his ear again, and the coyote quickly stifles his begging, realizing it might shift Brian's interest back to using Cameron for torture rather than his abilities. The pain had been blinding, but it's nothing. Absolutely nothing compared to what his bear has done for others. Oh my god, no. No, I just saw the first few words of that sentence you just posted, and I can't. No big deal! Like, sudden didn't caught. Like, I'm just like, oh my god, time and place. And you did at my birthday dinner, and I made excuses for you then. You were there like, hint on the waiter. I'm like, James, he's straight. And he's like, doesn't matter, I'm a celebrity. It's fucking gross. God. The pain had been blinded, but it's nothing. Absolutely nothing compared to what this bear has done to others. More like what this game has done to me. Ugh. Cameron manages to settle into a stumbling walk as Brian pulls him along, bent over and trying to see the ground in the darkness, all while he tries to carefully follow the bear's rough, unpredictable movements. Every minute or so, Cameron looks forward and sees the scenario he's aiming for, still within reach, so he keeps walking. Meanwhile, a van emerges from the trees, parts a ways off the side of the road. Brian freezes, staring. Then he lets out a surprised laugh.
Well, I'll be damned! The fucker got away!
Who? The coyote winces as Brian continues to hold him by his ear. Cameron hopes that he's talking about Devin, even though he can sense the presence of the inner bear just ahead. No, he's talking about Artie. The coyote would be glad to be proven wrong about his abilities, especially if it means Devin gets away. But Cameron knows.
That cat! I swear I shot him twice, too! Then again, he didn't do that weird drinking thing people do when you give him a kill shot, so I must have missed the second time. Thought maybe I just killed him with the first.
Cameron looks where Brian is staring, and sees the spot where Arturo must have been. Dark stains covered the leaves, along with what looks like vomit, and Cameron feels his own stomach churn at the sight. It's difficult to connect his outgoing, oblivious friend to the mess, and Cameron feels guilt mingled with his misery as he realizes that what's happening to Artie is their fault. But he knows Artie is far away now, miles away, and Cameron silently encourages the cat to keep going, to do whatever he can to save them and himself, even though he's clearly in terrible shape. Cameron hopes Artie can hear him, even if he's awake right now. Okay, let me see. If you walk the mile and stroll, it'll probably take you like 20 to 30. It'll probably take you like 20 to 30 minutes to do that. If you're like good enough. It will take a good long while for Artie to reach, like, probably like, let's see, probably like 4 hours, 4 or 5 hours to do it. Cameron hopes Artie can hear him, even if he's awake right now. Cameron says it's another ominous shift in the bear's motivation. Brian doesn't think that Artie will make it to the interstate, and he knows he should go looking for the cat. But everything is so fucked from the start. 3 young men who have likely have close family and friend groups, all 3 of them injured and beaten, and all 3 knowing full well what Brian is capable of. There's no point to it anymore. Brian had almost reverted to thinking he'd get away with all this somehow, but no. This is the end.
Well, guess that's it then. Figured it was getting close for a while now. Kinda knew that when I would let the kid's phone ring in my trailer.
The calm with which Brian accepts his near demise makes Cameron want to try to escape all over again. Why can't this bear just end it without taking them down with him? It's the end for him, not them. Can I see Devon? Cameron half-heartedly smiles, hoping it might sway the bear, but he's not paying attention to the coyote. Brian shakes his head at the sober version of himself, the version that actually did plan to let Cameron go, because why would he add to his problems by killing the Yodi if said Yodi could take them all away? That's why he tried to be nice to him. And then, of course, things got out of hand. Cameron begins to shake as he senses Brian's arousal and excitement. No. He's thinking about Cameron, about his baggie full of bath salts, and about how long it might take to find him in. Cameron blanches mentally, unsure of what that dark place full of death is, but he knows he does not want to go there. Where are you taking me?
You're the sidekick, figure it out.
Keeping his hold on the Yodi, Brian pulls Cameron towards the van. We're stopping there. We're stopping there.
Oh my fucking god.
Not Brian taking us on a romantic walk in the middle of the night. Oh, we got jokes now, do we? We got jokes, I see. He's such a sweetheart. I can't. You know what? I'd be giggling and kicking my feet. You are insane. You're insane. Motherfucker. Anyway, I hope
this is not gonna ease anyone's anxiety. In fact, this is gonna make anyone's anxiety fucking worse because it's Arches. Because why the fuck? Because Hallie is a fucking sadist that likes to torment people mentally and emotionally. Anyway, thank you all so much for watching. If you're watching the VOD, subscribe to my channel and follow me. Follow me on Twitch at twitch.tv/CatBoy. And follow me on Twitter and Blue Sky. We love some days for the stream. Thank y'all so much for coming in. I really appreciate y'all being here and keeping me company. But yeah, watching me react. Yeah, I think this is the most I've ever emoted in this entire fucking game. But yeah, thank y'all so much for watching, and I'll see y'all in the next stream.